Hey everyone, welcome to the Revenue Growth Architects podcast. It's Chrissy here with Charlie, and we're going to go straight into it. We got some good topics. Just hot off the press ish, probably in the last week or two. Hubspot just announced their ChatGPT integration. So I thought that would be a really interesting thing to start the podcast with and get our thoughts because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people trying it out. And before you hook up ChatGPT to your CRM or market automation platform full of sensitive company information, you should probably think about how you're best going to use it and if it's worthwhile and what makes sense. So, yeah, what are your thoughts, Charlie? I know we have some clients who are already interested in starting to use it. So, yeah, what do you think people should know before they try it out?
I think there's a nice image made by Tom Fishburne, which we'll throw up on the screen right now. This was my first thought. So for those who are just listening, it's a cartoon strip. You've probably seen these cartoons. They've been around forever. And on one side, it's a guy and a woman in front of a computer. And he's saying, AI gives us real-time insights from all of our data. And she says, amazing. What data? And then on the next panel of the cartoon, he points to just a pile of garbage next to them on the floor and a load of trash. So I think when the cynic in me always goes to this goes through this sort of thought process when I think of AI trying to tap into all of like the insights in everyone's data. And of course, I have a more balanced opinion, but if you're going to go down that path, the biggest issue is how good is your data, right? If it's missing data, if it's incorrect data, there's just so much bad data out there that it's like, we can't expect AI just to come in, be plugged into this incredibly messy, incomplete, bad data and expect it to just like magic up insights. First, we've talked about this before. AI magic up. Well, yeah.
Magically made up. I like magic up better though.
Magic up. I don't even know if that makes sense. But anyway, just come up with all of these insights out of nowhere. You need to work on the data. Maybe AI can help you work on the data foundation as well. But you can't expect just to plug something in and just overnight now you're putting out all of this insight that you weren't able to get before, unless maybe you do have clean data. So that's my first thought.
Yeah, I think also like there's dirty data, there's inconsistent like structure of data, which to me is like you have multiple fields for the same thing, and how does it know which one to choose? And there's also just not having the data and thinking about like, well, if you don't like a lot of people's issues with getting the reporting they need is not because they also have bad data in it. They just maybe just aren't even capturing it or don't have it in a structured way that they need to do the analysis. So whether you have a human or chat GPT, it's not really going to solve your problem until you get that in place.
Yeah, that we go. I'll throw out this other screenshot. One of my favorite quotes when people were talking about the HubSpot integration is from Jackson Tarrant, and he said, "Game changer for companies with a clean CRM, therefore a game changer for like 5 companies." Laughing face emoji. And I think it's just true. And the thing that bothers me probably more than anything is that I'm actually like I say this every time, every podcast, but I'm pretty bullish on AI, and I feel like it can do a lot for us. But the problem is when we get all of this like sensationalized hype that's kind of a little bit over the skis, a little bit too, talking about what maybe you can do in the future, but what really not what you're doing today. The problem with that is that and I'll walk you through my experience. So I actually set up the HubSpot ChatGPT integration for the CS2 HubSpot, not our client's HubSpot, our HubSpot. So a little bit different than our client's instance. Not as much data, probably nowhere near as much data, not as much complexity as our client's instances. So you would think like maybe this is a good test bed for it. And I asked a couple of questions, and the first one I just asked was like, bring me all of my open deals and some of the next steps. I think it took, I'd have to go back, but it was like 10 minutes into thinking about it. It was going around and you can see it thinking. So it's going around and like kind of trying different things, putting data different ways. At one point, it even said, I am booking a meeting. And I was like, what does it even mean by I am booking a meeting? It can't do actions, but it said like, I am booking a meeting. I don't even know what it did there. So it got very confused. And that was with simple data. So the problem is, and I think a lot of people are experiencing this right now, is that the reality isn't living up to the hype in a lot of cases. In some cases it is, but when you're really getting into these more complex use cases where you've got a lot of data, like you said, data structured in certain ways, you need, accurate answers. You're left wanting a little bit when you actually come up against actually trying to perform these actions or try and get that insight out of the data. So I think that's the problem, is like, if I wasn't someone who would like keep on trying, a lot of people could just try that once, get a bad output, say AI is a load of crap, and then just move on. And that's the problem. It's like the expectations are so high, and reality, even if it's good, can't meet those expectations. And it's just creating a bit of this weird dynamic, I think, in how people are using AI. So I think we need to just bring expectations down a little bit, understand what it can do currently, and not just overhype everything. And just keep on testing and iterating. So I think that's kind of the more longer kind of thought on like just the data piece when it comes to integrating HubSpot to ChatGPT.
Yeah. I think also just in general, like be on the safer side for companies, just like think before you do it too. Before you go start sending your data anywhere, make sure you ask, your internal org and save yourself a little bit there. People have gotten fired in the past for just exporting data out of their CRM when they weren't supposed to, let alone sending your sensitive data, including deals and so forth, into a tool to analyze it. So I actually saw a funny video from, I think, Corporate Bro today, and it was like uh, inputting the company's most sensitive information into ChatGPT because I can't write an email by myself anymore.
Yeah, I saw that.
I was like, oh no, so true.
Yeah. So go through all of the proper IT procedures that your org has in place. Don't just go setting it up, right? They need to be onboarded as a vendor. You need to go through all the security stuff. They need to get approved. For us at CS2, it's like it's a bit, we don't have, as much red tape around that. And I just used it for a quick test and then disconnected it. So and there's no, we didn't share any like, PII in there. So in terms of like the risk reward, I would say right now, I mean, who knows what the risk is, because they say they're not going to use the data for training and share it with other people.
Yeah.
But you have to trust that, right? They've also said they weren't, scraping data from different like YouTube and other places, and it kind of ends up that they were. So beware the risks. Don't just go setting it up straight away when it comes to privacy and your data, particularly for all the people that are probably listening to this, that you really have to have proper security protocols in place. But then also, lower your expectations, even if you do have it set up. You're not going to suddenly just ask it, what's our best performing channel? Where should we invest more? And it just give you the answer. I just don't see that happening at this stage. And one, probably you don't have the data. And two, I think even if you did have pretty good data, I think it's such a nuanced thing to try and understand, and like it trying to interpret like multiple different attribution models to come up with that answer. It's like pretty difficult challenge. And there's a lot of, I think, human input that needs to go into that evaluation and understanding the data, and then building a story around the data, and then trying to then get other people to understand what you're seeing. But I just don't think you can just like pop an AI in and just give it and just get all that out of it straight away yet. At least I'm not seeing it. So I did see some people post on LinkedIn like, oh, I asked it this and it gave me that. But then a lot of the other comments I was seeing from other people were a similar experience to me. It was like, oh, I couldn't get anything out of this yet. So And I would say probably as maybe a next step, if you are really interested in it, maybe, get a sandbox, like spin up like a dev
Mhm.
Salesforce sandbox, throw a load of, data in there that isn't real. You can actually use AI to create a load of dummy data, which is something that I've done before. Just be like, create me, several hundred records with just all this fake data in there, and then just see what it does. Like try to start asking it questions and test it out. But for now, I would say, is it something you have to rush to and to start using? Probably not. But in general, is AI something we need to stay on top of? Yes. But is the HubSpot ChatGPT integration like a massive game changer today? I don't see it yet, but TBD, right? With everything with
Yeah.
AI, it's like, tomorrow it could totally be 100 times better.
I just like the innovation part of HubSpot to actually have more AI capabilities in their tool, whether they're like useful or not. It just shows progression, unlike other tools,
Mm.
and embedding it in thinking about the person's workflow and how it's embedded in that workflow, which I think is a lot better than I. I think is great for adoption because it's like it's already there. You can test it out, kind of like the generating subject lines thing, helping them create lists for you, doing like the descriptions on your workflows, like little things like that. Yes, they're not like groundbreaking, but it's kind of nice to kind of see how you can kind of test out using AI to maybe simplify or make better like some of the things that an operator's already doing.
Yeah. And the bull case is, it's only going to get better. They've got to start somewhere, right?
Totally.
Now they can start getting some feedback, seeing where it's falling short, see where it's good, starting helping. Because the other thing is, it's so open ended, right? Like some of the other
Mm-hmm.
use cases you talked about there, where they've plugged AI into like more narrow kind of like features or use cases. This is just like it's just integrated. It's got access to all of the data there. It can do API calls and start like pulling data. And it's like you have to, maybe the prompts that I gave weren't very good potentially. So understanding like how to prompt it the right way to get the right output. And then also, I think there's going to be a whole new discipline in what we do is like, how do we structure data the right way for AI, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the
Yeah.
way that everything to date has been, how do we structure data to be able to obviously have a human leverage it, and then also for then how does it then show on a report,
Yeah.
so then a human can look at the report. If AI doesn't need it structured in a particular way for like humans need to be able to interpret it, then there might be a more efficient way to even build your data sets and build out the data. So more to come on that, but like there's even that whole dynamic where I think people are going to need to think about that. And so right now it's like, are we even doing the right thing by just plugging AI into data that we've structured for humans in a particular way, right? It's like, no wonder maybe it struggles there. Um,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so yeah, something that probably need to think about a bit more, but I think that we're still just so early with it all.
Yeah, definitely. Early days. Don't feel behind. Don't think you're too behind, but definitely stay in the know. That's kind of like the tips that we've been giving, I think, over the last few podcasts and kind of still holds true. So